Hi, welcome to EDSC 562. This is week 2, and this is my instructor's video on chapters 3 and 4. So in this course, we're going to be talking about the school counselor's career and development. The ASCA position on school counselors is that they deliver a school counseling program that enhances student growth in all three areas of academics, career, and social emotional development. So, as part of a school counselor's comprehensive school counseling program, school counselors are to implement strategies and activities that helps all students enhance their career development. The mindsets and behaviors student needs to understand the connection between the school and the world of work, plan for making a successful transition to post-secondary education and work across the lifespan. So we need to recognize the growth of the three domains that are necessary for all students to be successful now and later in life. So our school counselors recognize that each student, regardless of background, possesses unique interests, abilities, and goals, which will lead to the future opportunities, and that we need to include a culturally responsive practice with career development strategies that and counselors need to help historically marginalized populations create a pathway for future. Everybody's pathway is not necessarily college, so we're also doing career development as well. So we want to make sure that we're including military career technical certification 2 and 4 year degrees that are appropriate for students. We need to begin as early as kindergarten and exemplify that students who are very knowledgeable about options and be prepared to enroll and um, succeed in post-secondary experiences without the need for remediation. So our goal is that people are ready for the workforce and that they don't need additional remediation um, before that or during their post-secondary education experiences. So we also want to connect them with their career interests and abilities, giving them skill sets that they can take into the workplace and make sure they're motivated to have a job and have a career. All right, so I'm going to go over chapters 3 and 4, and I will begin by sharing my screen. Okay, so our book talks about preparing students for successful futures in college and careers. So we want to make sure that students are um, ready for college and career choices. So we'll be talking about professional preparation, career counseling competencies, ethical issues in counseling, serving diverse populations, assessment knowledge, career college and career planning, cultural considerations, our special populations, and advocacy and equity. So in our for our professional preparation, we need to know the National Career Development Agencies, the NCDA, which outlines multicultural career counseling and assessment competencies to address diverse client needs. Our ASCA standards, which I just reviewed with you. Our CACREP sets that are curricular and specialty standards for counselor educations that emphasize career development assessment, and then our professional development that we're consistently having ongoing training, making sure we're aware of the latest information. Like, for instance, college and college applications have changed tremendously since the last time that we entered into college. And obviously we haven't entered in as a freshman. So where ACT SAT were highly important now. They are still important. People are still taking those tests, but they're not necessarily required for all of the entrances. And so we want to make sure that we're up to date on what is, the most important way for a student to enter into college if they want post-secondary education. And then also investigating and following our occupational outlook handbook, which gives us the most up-to-date data and statistics on the careers that are available there. And with those careers, we are trying to see which ones are opening up more, which one has a fluid job market, and which one needs more people in it, so that some of these are career and technical educations that probably you could make a significant amount of money by taking that. It's usually 2-year college or certification of some sort. We still have military. Military options are great for many students, creating that structure, that ability to be successful. Also, there's lots of benefits by going into the military. So these are all things that are important to us. So with college and career readiness competencies, we need to have knowledge of career theories. We need to understand career development theories that explain influences on our career choices across the lifespan, including personal traits. We'll talk about that. Counseling skills, skills such as individual and group counseling, consultation, collaboration, and culturally responsive communication, which is essential to support students' career and college path planning effectively. We need to make ethical decisions so that we are helping these students navigate the pathways that they are choosing for themselves, and making sure that we're doing it in an ethical way. Like making sure if someone doesn't lose out on a scholarship, someone doesn't lose out because they didn't take the right courses for their next choices. All right. We need to serve a diverse population. We have all different types of learners. We need to prepare even our students with disabilities for career choices. We need to make sure that we're giving them appropriate assessments, referrals, relevant resources, and we need to use data strategies to close the gaps in career and college access. And then we need assessment knowledge. So we need to make sure we know how to give an assessment test, an entrance, interest personality test, or career development test. We need to know how to interpret it, evaluate it, and make sure we're using a reliable, valid, and test for all students. When we're looking at ethical issues in college and career, we need to see our strengths and then the challenges. Sometimes our strengths are commitment to confidentiality, which protects our student privacy, and during that career and college discussion, respect autonomy and that empowers students to make their own informed decisions, adhere to and establish ethical standards, be aware of them, and use ethical decision-making models. And then for our challenges, we need to make sure that we're not breaching confidentiality as we talk about these college and career choices that may not align with the parents. We need to challenge any challenges in any balances that students' autonomy with the parent expectations and school policies. We need to avoid temptation to subtle influences that for students' career choices based on the counselor's personal view. Like we need to make sure of our biases. Are we pushing girls in this, women in this direction, men in another direction? So we need to be aware of that. And we need to be aware when difficulties arise, when parents override a student's professional choice. Sometimes a student wants to go in one direction, but the parent wants them to go in a different direction. So are we giving credence to that? Are ethical conflicts that may escalate when student policies limit student freedoms in decision making. So an ethical decision-making model steps. We define the problem, apply the standards in the law, consider the student development, access settings and rights, and evaluate principle and act. Okay. So we need to make sure we have a clear problem statement and an understanding of the dilemma. We need to have relevant ethical codes, summaries, and legal consideration. We need to develop assessments of the students that are age appropriate and have interventions considered. And then we also need to analyze the setting and specific policies, and then parental and minor rights documentation, and then a list of potential actions with consequences, consultation notes, implemented action plans. Again, since we are serving a diverse population, take and consider cultural competencies, develop awarenesses of our biases, gain knowledge, and develop and develop knowledge about diverse cultural backgrounds. We need to use data to identify the needs, analyzing disaggregated student data that helps identify achievement gaps so that we are addressing those barriers and allowing counselors to tailor career readiness interventions. And then we need to have resource and referrals. We should be equipped with specialized resources and know when to refer a student to community partners, vocational rehabilitation, or other support services to address any unique challenges that might come about for a particular student. We need to collaborate and advocate for our students and collaborate with the families, educators, community organizations, and then advocate for those students' equitable career and college opportunities. We need to assess our knowledge. We need to make sure we have assessment knowledge. There are many types of assessments, and we need to understand the informal versus and standardized versus unstandardized assessment and select the tools that are suitable for specific career and college readiness. We need to select the tool, and then we need to administer procedures, interpret the results, and evaluate the assessment data to make sure that we're guiding the student in the right direction. Um, Career and educational and labor market information is vital for career readiness, so counselors should regularly review trusted sources like ONET, the Occupational Outlook Handbook, stay informed. This is how we know where the job market is opening and how to drive students with specific skills into the right career paths. For career and college planning and placement, we want to make sure that we have set a goal, make a decision, navigate the educational milestones, collaborate with the community, and place the services and supports for any students, such as college application timelines, scholarship searches, job shadowing, internships, military enlistments, to make sure that the student has a smooth transition to their next post-secondary education. The planning cycle is program planning, setting goals based on student needs and theories, choosing assessments and interventions that fit and develop and are developmentally and culturally appropriate. We need to have a program implementation, deliver the services using individual, group, or classroom strategies. I use a classroom strategy in elementary. I'm only most of the time giving those college and career choices to the fifth graders because they're at the level of being able to understand basic information like GPA, choosing a career, and then I have a culminating activity such as either a college fair or a career fair, and they hear about these different jobs. And I try to find young graduates That's been my goal when I have a career fair is young graduates. So they hear it from someone that is closer to their age or doesn't seem so far apart from them. And then how they managed with whatever challenges, barriers that they came across. And then we need to evaluate our program once we're finished with it and make sure we analyze the participation and outcome data and use the results to refine the services and guide our future planning. So we need to make sure we're doing our professional development. We have continuous learning. There's conferences and networks and specialized credentialing for career development advisors that will help you. So this is another path that we can take for additional career options as a school counselor. Some cultural considerations are that every student needs college and career readiness activities, but there are some vulnerable populations that face unique barriers that limit access and success. So we really need to be aware of our rising cost of college, economic hardships, discrimination, cultural misunderstandings, disproportionately affect these groups. Okay, so counselors have to consider complex intersections of race, ethnicity, disability, socioeconomic status, gender identity, and family background when it comes to designing these cultural responsive interventions. They need to be aware and promote equitable college and career opportunities for all students. Okay, some special population overviews. We've got our Hispanic and Latino students, African American students, our American Indian, Alaskan Native and Disability students, our LGBTQAI plus group, our undocumented, foster homeless, first generation, and gifted. So these are our historically marginalized populations. So it's really important that we make sure that we target these groups if they are a large part of our population, make sure that we're getting out to them. So with our Hispanic and Latin students, it is a growing portion of the U.S. school population, rising from 16% to 25%. So this group is highly diverse. There is not a one size fits all. Everybody is divided depending on the region in which they come from. So it is important not to lump, and even within the same country, there are diversities within that. We have the economic income and economically challenged. There's about 26% of Hispanic children that live below poverty line. So we need to look at these students, which can limit access to college and college resources. We need to think about discrimination for this group. They have lower academic opportunity impacts, and therefore it makes them less ready for college. So they face challenges like lower ACT scores, language barriers that reduce their college competitiveness. And then we also have cultural and family influences like family expectations that strongly influence Hispanic students. We need to consider the cultural expectations and then academic performance, career aspirations, and we need to be aware of U.S. educational systems that can hinder parent involvement in college planning and support. For our African American students, this is the group that has the achievement gap, 79% compared to 89% for whites are graduating. They face lower enrollment rates in advanced courses and experience challenges that impact timely graduation and college readiness. Also have an average ACT score for African American students is 17 versus 22 for white students. So social factors like attending Title I schools, low family income compound these disparities. Their cultural value and career preferences. The African American community often value careers and promote social impact and community well-being, such as education and healthcare, and enterprising careers over investigated STEM fields. So we really want to encourage those people that do well in math and science, since that is the area to really investigate those careers more so. And then the career and employment outcomes for the African American, they face higher unemployment rates and are more likely to work non-traditional shifts. They have systemic racism and limited family resources that restrict access to some of the higher salaries and professional roles, contributing to their ongoing disparity. For American Indian and Alaskan Native students, we have the population and diversity. They comprise about 1.2 of the US population, 573 federally recognized tribes in the US across Alaska and Hawaii. Their educational disparities is their high school graduation rates are below national average, which many attend the Bureau of Indian Education schools where graduation rates are even lower. They have employment challenges. They have higher employment rates and more likely to work in service, natural resources, transportation jobs, with fewer employed in the professional and managerial roles, and generally low wages. And their cultural and career barriers include limited local job opportunities, transportation issues, family obligation, and the need for cultural relevance, post-secondary support, and tribal colleges playing a key role in education access. Our students with disabilities tend to receive special education, and so they have difficulties which mandate transitional plans and goals that are necessary for skills training. Some academic challenges is students with disabilities often face lower reading levels, underrepresentation in advanced classes, and higher need for remedial coursework, which impacts college readiness. Um, their unemployment rates for individuals with disabilities are nearly double those without disabilities, and they usually work in part-time or lower paying jobs. Self-advocacy skills empower the students to articulate their needs and strengthen and strengths in IEP meetings and post-secondary settings, which improve their college and career success. And then we need to collaborate and make sure that they are ready. And we collaborate with our special education, vocational rehabilitation counselors, and families to provide accommodation and resources tailored to each student's need. For our LGBTQAI plus group, this is approximately 4.5% of the US adults identified as LGBTQ. In high school, 2.1% of the males and 2.9% of the females identify as gay or lesbian, while 3.5 of males and 13.9 identify as bisexual. Some climate challenges, nearly 60% of the students feel unsafe due to sexual orientation, 43 due to gender expression, and about 1/3 miss school because of safety concerns. So we need to make sure that the students are getting access, because as we know, the longer they stay at home, the more they miss. This makes them unprepared for school. We also need to see what the impact on achievement and career decisions are. Because of victimization, students have lower GPAs and are less likely to pursue post-secondary education opportunities, and they make career choices based on safety concerns rather than interests. So mentors need to provide critical support in navigating these specific challenges. For our undocumented students, we need to make sure that there are approximately 737,000 undocumented students school age in the US, many Spanish speaking, and reside in states like Texas, Florida, California, New York, and they represent a diverse immigrant experience and face language and cultural barriers. Our DACA program, it allows and provides eligible undocumented youth protection from deportation, work authorization, It's increasing educational job opportunities, and it is uncertain status that affects the students' stability and planning. As we know, we have the ice raids going on currently in California. So this is another thing because even with DACA in place, some of the students are still feeling concerned and not coming to school. We have challenges and barriers like undocumented students that often face fears of disclosure, limited family knowledge, financial constraints, state level legal restrictions that limit access to in-state tuition, financial aid, and professional licensing that complicate college access and career planning. And there needs to be support and resources. Counselors should provide accurate and current information about laws, scholarships, college opportunities, building trust, and connecting students with mentors, and facilitating dual enrollment and collaboration with community organizations that improve access and success. For students that are foster or homeless, there's approximately 2,956 children that have entered into the foster care in 2018, with 437,283 in placement. There's 1.6 million homeless youth who were enrolled in public schools in 2016, with many of them living in unstable housing situations. School instabilities, they frequently move, change in schools due to foster placement or homelessness that can help them fall behind, they repeat grades and have lower enrollment. We need to look at their financial concerns, such as lack of resources for basic needs, paying for college and application fees, housing deposits, transportation, making secondary education extremely difficult for them to obtain. And then also college and career planning challenges. They often miss the opportunities for career exploration and college prep, that they lack the guidance and support. And it's crucial for them to provide targeted interventions for these particular students. Our first generation students, these are the parents who did not complete a bachelor's. They often come from low income or minority backgrounds, and they are represented as 1/3 of the school age students. They are less likely to be enrolled in advanced courses like APs and score as highly on standardized tests. They require remedial coursework and face higher dropout rates. Um, they lack family knowledge about the college process. That's why it's important that the school counselors focus on the first generation college students, navigating the admissions, financial aid, academic expectations that other of their peers get from their families. And so it's important for us to target them. And then we need to have protective factors that strengthen them. It showed like strong motivation, persistence, adaptability, and a sense of personal responsibility. Support the families that don't, that want them to go to college, but haven't had that experience, and help navigate that process for them, giving them better understanding. For our gifted students, they're performing at higher levels in one or more areas, but are underrepresented in gifted programs, especially among the minority and rural low socioeconomic areas and the English language learner populations. So many gifted students have talents and interests in multiple areas, making it difficult to narrow down career choices due to diverse abilities. So we need to help them make career decisions because they also often struggle with career paths because there's a pressure to meet certain expectations of their own high standards. So we need to help them be successful. And they also have the perfectionism impact that hinder them, causing anxiety, procrastination, underachievement, and academic performance and readiness for transition. And they have higher social emotional needs because they require emotional regulation and social interaction. So, how do we advocate and for equity in college and career readiness? We need to develop self-awareness, reflect on our own biases and cultural limitations, use data to identify gaps, use the data disaggregated by student groups and help identify disparities in academics and career outcomes. We need to build professional learning communities that collaborate with colleagues and practice and develop cultural responsives strategies to enhance career and college readiness for all. And we need to consult subject matter experts, to be able to uh, give community resources for counselors, an understanding and ability of implementing effective, culturally sensitive interventions. We need to use data to identify inequities, making sure that counselors are constantly reviewing the data so they know what works for their population. And then we need to inform, be culturally informed, make sure that we're consulting cultural experts and adapting assessment methods by substituting homework with in-class projects using that universally divine designated learning. We need to design targeted interventions. So our psychoeducational groups or small sessions that allow study groups and system navigation and planning. We need to have our summer support planning that programs offer during the summer to recent graduates with tasks of financial aid completion, class registration, campus transition preparation, our subgroup specific interventions. We need to tailor our activities that address unique barriers and strengthen populations like our African American students, LGBTQAI plus group, and then our first generations college students. We need to make sure we have mentoring and peer support, connect students with mentors and peers, foster self-advocacy, navigate the barriers, have a sense of belonging during the career exploration, and that we need to collaborate with our families, make sure that we're doing enough to get our families out and let them know what we're offering in college and career, because many of them don't know. They know one path, and so we want to guide them that everything is tangible, everything is doable, and we want to give them the knowledge that they need to be able to help the students achieve the goals and their dreams that they have in their college and career exploration. So college and counseling readiness depends on key competencies such as knowledge of college career theories, assessments, and program planning. We need to be culturally competent. It's essential for us with the unique challenges and in our diverse students face. We need to promote equity and access. We need to use ethical, practical guides for our counselors to maintain confidentiality and respect autonomy. And then advocacy involves using data, identifying gaps, designing targeted interventions, collaborating with families and communities. And together, all these elements will ensure that counselors are effectively supporting all students on their college and career journeys. Thank you. So I just want to make sure that everyone has a clear understanding of chapters 3 and 4. Um, and I want you have your first assignment due during week 2. And I look forward to seeing you in our live session during week 3. Thank you.